Hello, Neogenians. Welcome to Dawn of the New Earth. Today, we're doing a wild one. We're actually continuing from where we left off. A while ago, we were talking about how in the infancy gospel of Thomas, Jesus Christ, as a child, is taught the alphabet, or at least that's the attempt. This teacher attempts to teach Jesus the alphabet, and Jesus ends up saying, hey, you have no idea what you're talking about. Let me tell you what the alphabet really is, and begins to explain how the alphabet is the code of reality, essentially, or uses the alphabet to explain that, and just breaks this guy's mind. Total mental breakdown this guy has. And so we explored that. And then we started to explore what that actually means by using the Hebrew alphabet along with the tree of life and Kabbalah to understand this underlying code of reality, how it's understood symbolically. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to continue from there. And so let's just jump right into it. It's going to be a good one. And as always, my friends, I want to remind you, this is way more than a channel. We are a revolution of consciousness. We are making higher consciousness go viral, spreading what they tried to bury for thousands of years. And we're reaching millions of people. So make sure you hit like, share, subscribe to spread this like fire. Join our revolution of consciousness. And if you want to help out even more, you can become a member and get access to a lot of great stuff. You get access to members only downloads, free downloads on alchemy, Kabbalah, rituals, inner transformation, etc. You can also get access to our members only videos. We have a ton of them, and it helps out the channel a lot. You can also check out my books. I'm a Neogenian. I wrote a 5-part series on the Neogenian system. And if you're looking for a free way to support, a great way to support is by following me on Spotify. If you have a Spotify channel, go to my Spotify, follow me there. It's completely free, and it helps us reach an entirely new audience on that platform. Links to all those things, my books, Spotify, etc., they are in the description of this video. All right, so let's dive right into this. Jesus Christ, as a 5-year-old kid, just melting his teacher's mind with the ABCs, basically. So I'm going to read an excerpt. I'm going to read a little bit from the infancy gospel of Thomas. And then after I read from the infancy gospel of Thomas a little bit, we will actually start to break down what this actually means. So where we left off last time is that Jesus's teacher, his name was Zacchaeus, was trying to teach the alphabet to Jesus. And Jesus basically said, hey, you don't even know what the letter A means. Listen to me. And if you can comprehend what A means, then maybe you can understand, or I'll listen to what you have to say about what B means. Now, he uses the Greek alphabet, so he talks in terms of alpha and beta, but that's A and B, essentially. And in the Hebrew alphabet, that's aleph and bet. So AB, or alpha beta, or aleph bet. So let's see. So the gospel says, now when Zacchaeus the teacher had heard such and so many allegories of the first letter spoken by the young child, Jesus, he was perplexed at his answer and his instruction being so great, and said to them that were there, woe is me, wretch that I am, I'm confounded. I have brought shame to myself by drawing to me this young child. Take him away. Therefore, I beseech thee, my brother Joseph, I cannot endure the severity of his look. I cannot once make clear my or his word. And this was just after Jesus explaining what alpha, A, means. And we essentially saw how he describes it as we can understand it as above, so below sort of things, because the letter A has 3 parts, 2 sides, and a connecting middle. Very similar to the aleph in Hebrew. But anyways, Zacchaeus is basically going, hey, get this kid away from me. I can't stand him looking at me. And I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to the letter A. I can't understand it. And he continues, this young child is not earthly born. This is one that can tame even fire. Be like this is one begotten before the making of the world. He's saying, hey, Jesus, this kid, he's not from earth. He's like a being that existed before the world even existed. What belly bare this? What womb nurtured it? Like, how the hell could he be born even? I know not. Woe is me, O my friend. He putteth me from my sense. I can't follow his understanding. He's having major mental breakdown now. I'm out of my senses. I can't figure out what the heck he's saying. I have deceived myself. Thrice wretched man that I am. I strove to get me a disciple. Jesus wanted to teach the 5-year-old Jesus and make him his disciple. I wanted to get a disciple, and I am found to have a master. Jesus Christ, 5-year-old, master over this teacher. I think, O my friends, upon my shame, for that being old, I have been overcome by a young child. And I am even ready to faint and to die because of the boy. He's not doing too hot, is he? He's having a little bit of a problem here. He's going to definitely need some group therapy after this. Total breakdown. He's ready to faint. He's ready to die. Maybe he's... Remember, this is just after Jesus telling him what the letter A means. And he's ready to die. He's ready to just kick the bucket because he can't handle it. And he's calling this little kid his master. For I am not able at this present hour to look him in the face. And when all men say that I have been overcome by a little child, what have I to say? It's like, well, what am I going to do? What can I say when people start making fun of me? This little kid broke my brain. What can I say? And what can I tell concerning the lines of the first letter, wherefore he spake to me? So that's when Jesus explained the lines, right, of the A or the alpha, the two sides connected by a middle, and how we interpreted that as the heavens connecting the earth. And he's basically saying, I don't know what the hell this kid is talking about. What can I even say about that? This guy's brain is broken because of the lines in the letter A. I am ignorant, O my friends, for neither beginning nor end of it do I know. Wherefore I beseech thee, my brother Joseph, take him away to your house. For he is somewhat great, whether God or angel or what I should call him, I know not. Yeah. So pretty, he's being a little bit of a drama queen, but this guy has been totally broken. Jesus taught him about the letter A. He's like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't understand this. This kid is my master. My brain is broken. Everyone's going to make fun of me. And I don't know, this kid is not from Earth. Seems like he's from a place that was before Earth was even created. And I don't know if I should call him a god or an angel or what the hell this kid is. So interesting story. And there's more to this. There's a lot more to this. I did a whole video on the infancy gospel of Thomas, by the way. It's a really wild one. But let's start to break this down and see what this means, okay? So what we're going to be doing is taking a look at what this means. So in the infancy gospel of Thomas, it just really talks about the letter A, okay? So, or alpha. But in Kabbalah, they developed a complex system of how the Hebrew alphabet represents the structure of reality. So that's what we're going to explore right now. The Hebrew alphabet's symbolic structure of existence and your mind and your soul. But I just want to be clear, this isn't what Jesus taught in the infancy gospel of Thomas. Basically, the infancy gospel of Thomas, Jesus is just teaching how letters structure reality. And what I'm doing now is showing you, getting an idea of what he meant through Kabbalah, where it was developed in terms of the Hebrew alphabet. Another cool thing, by the way, is that they thought the Hebrew alphabet was, the structure of reality. Well, the Hebrew alphabet, or in Hebrew, there's no numbers. The letters are the numbers. Each letter is assigned a number. So to say that reality is created by letters is also, in those terms, to say reality is created by numbers. So we're going to do this right now. And one thing that I want to make very, very, very clear, and I said this in the last video, but I just want to reiterate it because I think it's a point of confusion for a lot of people. I am not saying that reality is literally structured by the Hebrew alphabet or any alphabet. That's crazy. Reality is mathematical, mental, energy, frequency. It's not literally created by floating A, B's, and C's. So why are we even talking about this? Because this is about what they did was use these letters to symbolically understand how reality is structured. Not literally, okay? Not literally, but symbolically. And the reason why that is helpful is because your unconscious communicates in symbolism. And so this helps some people, everyone learns differently. But for those who grasp reality symbolically, this is a helpful way to begin to understand how reality is structured. And for those who, and for others, it's still helpful, even for those who don't normally grasp reality symbolically, because to understand how to grasp reality symbolically is extremely important. Because you need to understand symbolism if you want to make a true connection to your unconscious, because your unconscious communicates in symbols and meaning, not letters in terms of like literal grammar, but in terms of the symbolic meaning, okay? The symbolic meaning behind it. So let's just get started and you'll see what I'm talking about. I just spilled water all over myself. That's great. This cup was way too full. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have going on here. So here we have the Kabbalistic tree of life, and we're using the Kabbalistic tree of life to understand. So the tree of life represents the structure of reality. Okay, it represents symbolically, not literally, but symbolically, this tree of life represents how reality is structured and how your soul is structured, as above, so below, as within, so without. So your soul mirrors the structure of reality, which is why the symbol can be used to grasp the structure of reality as well as the structure of the soul or mind, or in the Neogenian system, what we call a zeta. So the tree of life represents this. And basically, you'll ignore the fact that some of these are dark. I'll explain why these are dark in a minute. But you have the tree of life with the 10 sephirot or sephirot, and they're connected by paths. And these paths are essentially describing how energy flows. How energy flows between levels of reality or levels of consciousness, because remember, it represents your consciousness, your mind, but it also represents reality. So the 10 sephirot are levels of consciousness as well as levels of reality, and the connecting paths are the energy that flows between them. Now, there are 22 paths as well as 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. So, in Kabbalah, the letters are assigned to each of the paths and describe how the energy flows as reality is structured. Now, the particular assignments we're using right now is the typical assignments used in the Western occult tradition, probably most likely originally assigned by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. If you look at traditional, like classical Judaic Kabbalah, they will have different assignments, but we're going by the assignments used in the Western esoteric and Hermetic tradition because they, I don't know how detailed I want to get here. It allows us to, okay, each of these paths are also associated with a tarot card. And so we can associate the tarot cards with the alphabet. So what the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn did was they basically connected a ton of different things together. They connected Kabbalah and astrology and alchemy and tarot and all of it together. So in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Western esoteric tradition, in addition to like the Hebrew concepts or the Kabbalistic concepts, you know, each Sephirot is also assigned a planet. Each path is assigned a tarot card, etc. And this is all to symbolically understand how reality is generated and on a symbolic level. But I know that's kind of a lot, if especially if this is one of your first videos coming into my channel. So don't worry about that. All we're doing today is understanding what it means for letters, the Hebrew letters, to symbolically represent the structure of reality. Okay? So the reason why some of these lines are blacked in is because that's we already explored these letters and paths in a previous video. Okay? So in a previous video, we did that. But as just a real quick refresher, the very first path is Aleph, and Aleph is the breath of life. It's the first beginning. It connects Keter and Chokhmah, which is essentially unity and information. And so it's unity expressed in terms of information. And then the second path is Beit, which means house, and it connects the path of Keter, which is again cosmic unity, to Binah, which is cosmic structure. All right, that's what Binah is, cosmic structure. And so Beit means house, which is a structure. And so this represents the cosmic unity being structured. Okay, so and then you know, this particular path here is about information flowing to structure, so energy being structured, etc. So each of these paths represent a different part of reality unfolding. So I'm not going to explain all of them. I did a video on these already. Go watch that if you want. But we're going to continue from where we left off. And where we left off is this path right here. Okay. So we're talking about this path right here. Okay. So this is the letter Zain. Zain means sword. I like swords, so that's pretty cool. Zain connects Binah to Tiferet, or Tifereth. Binah to Tifereth. Binah, as we saw already, means structure, cosmic law, archetypal form. And Tiferet is the harmonized center of the self, like awareness, okay? Awareness. So Zain is the path of the sword that connects Binah, which is structure, to awareness. And what does a sword do? It cuts, it divides. So cosmically speaking, this path in the structure of reality of Zayn represents the moment that reality becomes fractured into polarity, positive and negative, light and dark, expansion and contraction, expansion and contraction. Without this division, nothing could be perceived, because it's contrast that allows us to have any kind of substantial experience. So on a cosmic scale, the path of the sword represents reality dividing into polarized aspects, left and right, up and down, light and dark. Psychologically, this represents the division of the mind, okay, into, let's say, like left hemispheric functions and right hemispheric functions. So you have logic and reason versus intuition and meaning and art, etc. Okay? So that's what it means on a cosmic level and on a conscious level. And I'm not going to explain all the tarot cards here. I already did that on another video, but just to give you a taste of why that's interesting, this particular path in terms of tarot is represented by the Lovers card. And why is that? Because that shows a depiction of male and female polarity gazing at one another. Okay? So left hemispheric functions, right hemispheric functions of the brain, masculine, feminine, light, dark, etc., etc. It's not literally about gender in the way that we understand it in our culture today, but rather just polarized forces. And so that's this path. Why is this? There we go. This path right here. So let's continue to the next path. The next path that we are going to discuss is called Het. And Het is the path right here. And you know what I just realized that I completely forgot to do is to show you images of each of these letters, what these letters look like. If you look really closely, if you're watching on a TV or something, you can see what they look like. It's this letter right here, okay? But unfortunately, I forgot to put together graphics to be able to enlarge them. But it doesn't really matter. The way that the letters look are interesting, and you can derive meaning from them, but I wasn't planning on really going into the actual structures of the letters, so that's fine. Don't feel like you're really missing out on a lot here. So it's this letter right here, and it's, why is this this path right here? Okay, so Het, and it connects Bina to Gevura, or Bina to Gevura. So Bina, as we saw, is structure. And Gevura means severity. So it's kind of like Bina is the blueprint, Gevura enforces it. And what does Het mean, by the way? Het means fence. So Het is a boundary. You see how we just through Zayn, through the sword, we had reality split into polarities. Now through Het, the fence, we create boundaries. You see how this is explaining the structure of reality, the structure of the cosmos, as well as the structure of consciousness. So you can think of it in terms of like atoms. atomic shells, the membranes of cells. Planets have atmospheres. This is like containment. Without containment, structure would dissolve. Now, psychologically speaking, this is discipline. It's the fences that you create to control your own energy and your will. It's the boundaries that you set up. So when you say no to someone, like no, this is a boundary, that's gevura. And particularly this particular path, chet, the fence, connects structure to severity, to boundary, to containment. But always remember that there's a shadow to all this, because a fence can protect, but it can also imprison. So that's why we have to be careful with these energies. And a ton of Kabbalah and magic is about understanding how to balance all of these energies. Because if you have too much of a fence, you're going to build yourself a prison. So chet is the principle of containment, which is necessary, but can be dangerous, of course. So that is this path here. Why do you not work pen? Thank you. Probably because I've had this pen for like 10 years. Let's see. So let's move on to the next. The next path, where are we at? Tet. Tet is this path in the middle here. Okay? And Tet means serpent. And it connects chesed to gevura. And Hesed is all about expansion and the cosmos. So you can kind of think of Chesed as like the Big Bang in a sense. Or maybe not the Big Bang, but at least the expansion of the universe. Okay? That's kind of Chesed. It's this cosmic expansion. But Gevura is containment. So it's restriction. So the path of Tet, or the serpent path, connects expansion to containment or restriction. Please work. So that's this path here. And cosmically speaking, this is about cosmic equilibrium. If you had too much expansion, the universe would tear apart, too much restriction, and it would collapse inward. The serpent coils between these forces, almost like an Ouroboros that eats its tail. You know, it's it's connective. So these cosmic forces like gravity and radiation, creation and destruction. Now, psychologically, okay, remember we saw that Gevura was about discipline and willpower. And Chesed, what does that represent? Chesed represents empathy, abundance, and overflow. So where Gevura says yes, Gevura says no, I have a boundary. Chesed says, oh yeah, I'll do that. Of course I'll do that. I love you. I'll do that. Yes. Well, obviously you can see we need a balance. If you just have, no, I'm not going to do that to everyone, well, you're pretty much a dick. If you just, no, I'm not going to do that ever. But if you also say yes to everyone, yes, people will walk all over you and take advantage of you. You can also think of it in terms of chesed as being like eating for pleasure, eating cake, let's say, eating cake, where Gevura is going on a diet, only eating vegetables or something. Well, to live a healthy and fulfilled life, you need both. You need pleasure, but you also need willpower. So the serpent is not evil, okay? It's this harnessed tension. And it allows you to stay balanced and avoid chaos. So this path is a very, very important one, this connected path here, balancing Gevura and Chesed is really important. And you can apply this to everything, like I said. So sort of like empathy and love versus structure and discipline, et cetera, et cetera. You could even do it to politics if you wanted. You could do liberal, Chesed is liberal, Gevura is conservative, let's say. It's like you can apply all of these things to whether it's political systems or systems or psychological systems or systems of the cosmos, because it's all connected. The philosopher Hegel saw governments as basically like the structure of the mind of the universe beginning to structure itself. So you can see how all this stuff is, all of it's connected. It's all connected. Whether you're talking about how reality is structured on an objective level versus how your psyche is structured in a subjective level, how you interpret that, versus politics, versus economics, whatever. You can apply this to everything because everything is connected. Okay, so let's see, where are we going here? Let's continue to where are we at? Right here. Okay, right here. So this path right here is Yud, Yod, Yud, and it means hand. It's also been described as a flame. Okay, and it connects Chesed to Tiferet. As we saw, Chesed is boundless abundance, and Tiferet is the center of the self, the center of awareness. So cosmically speaking, the Yud represents the hand of creation. Energy condensing into form, stars igniting, DNA encoding. The hand, metaphorical hand, that shapes potentiality into material form. But psychologically speaking, this is the connection between your self-awareness to the cosmos as at large. Okay? Chesed is really that, when you connect to it, it's starting to glimpse that cosmic consciousness. So in you, okay, Chesed is expansion, Tiferet is the center of your self-awareness. It's the expansion of your awareness, okay? The expansion of your awareness. And again, just to show a little glimpse of how all this connects, in tarot, this is the Hermit card. And the Hermit card is all about going inwards to experience higher states. And so you could see how that relates. So that's this path here. And let's continue to this path. So this path is Kaf, the letter Kaf. And Kaf means palm. Not the whole hand, but the palm. The part that receives and closes. It connects Chesed to Netzach, or Netzach. So Netzach is, so we saw Chesed is expansion, unconditional giving, and the cosmic pouring outwards. Netzach is desire, drive. That's why it's called, Netzach is called victory. Because when you have drive, you become victorious. It's the force that pushes something to endure. So cosmically speaking, this is energy becoming momentum, directed force. Chesed radiates endlessly, but Netzach, it chooses a direction and says, this is what I want. The palm closes. So without the path of Kaf, expansion is just more abstract. And here, in a psychological terms, you don't just feel connected to the cosmos, you want something, you desire something, you chase it, you fight for it. Remember, Netzach is victory. And then let's move on to the next path here. Lamed. Lamed is this path right here that connects Gevura to Tiferet. And Lamed means ox goad. Okay? And what is an ox goad? It's a tool to guide the ox, to direct the ox, to get the ox moving in the direction that you want it to do. In other words, it's a tool used to guide something powerful. And this makes sense because remember, Gevura is discipline and severity, and Tiferet is awareness. So ox goad makes sense because it's, discipline. You're disciplined. Hey, I'm vegan, so I don't support, the exploitation of animals, but you get what I mean in terms of symbolism, what this represents. So cosmically speaking, this is sort of like feedback mechanism in terms of evolution, reality adjusting, but psychologically speaking, we understand this as pain that pushes us towards growth. It is us applying discipline to our awareness. So without it, it would just be chaos, but this is really what allows evolution to occur. Evolution in terms of the cosmos and evolution in terms of our own personal growth, because our personal growth is guided by discipline. It is guided by discipline and allows us to grow. Cosmically speaking, this is evolution. Evolution is very severe. In the beginning, it's survival of the fittest, dog eat dog. But it allows ultimately for development to occur. And eventually self-awareness begins to occur because of this as well. So when we take a look at these letters, they are symbols, as you can see, how they describe how reality divides, stabilizes, and balances, and in terms of your psyche as well. And this pattern exists in galaxies and your nervous system and your mental structure. So the tree of life and the connecting Hebrew letters don't literally tell you how reality is structured. It does it in a symbolic way. Because guess what? Understanding how reality is structured is very complicated. Very few people are going to go take a detailed course on quantum mechanics and study deep mathematical philosophy and idealism, for example. So this allows one to begin to grasp the idea in a symbolic way. And so there's sort of two advantages to this, is that it's an easy sort of like picture book way of understanding things. So it can get the ball rolling in terms of understanding things. And also because it's symbolism, it allows you to connect with your unconscious mind. That's why. So I just always want to make this clear. I don't think reality is created by the Hebrew letters or any letters for that matter. That's dumb, in my opinion. That's silly. But as a system of symbolism that allows one to begin to grasp these ideas on a symbolic level, you can use these Hebrew letters. You could use, doesn't have to be the Hebrew letters, you could use tarot cards, and they do. You could use planets as symbolism as well. Alchemy, anything you want to. All of these symbolic sets will allow you to symbolically begin to grasp the nature of reality and your mind and unlock things within you because they're dormant within you. Okay, so my question is, I think we're going to end it there. My question is, do you want to continue exploring the rest of the letters? I want to know from you. I really value your input. So tell me in the comments, do you want to continue exploring the rest of the letters and see what happens when another teacher tries to teach Jesus? Yeah, another teacher tries to teach mind-bending, otherworldly baby Jesus. So if you want more of that, let me know, tell me in the comments, and we will do so. And as always, I want to remind you, we are way more than a channel. We are a revolution of consciousness. So hit like, share, subscribe, spread this like fire. And if you want to help out even more, become a member, get access to a lot of great stuff like members only videos. You can check out my books, and for a free way to support, follow me on Spotify. It helps out a lot. Links to all of those things, they are in the description of this video. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports, especially Renaissance Fairy, Cassidy, Angela, Dallas, Nusalina, Eric, Sol, Vivian, Tornado, Banshee, Pop Out, Hyper Saiyan, Chris, and everyone else. Thank you very much. My name is Morgue, and I am Neogenian. Ad Astra.